Hello everyone, it's Leon here, and I'm joined by Ben, who has reviewed the PS4 version of FIFA 14.
That's correct.
You say is a significant advancement on the PS3 version.
It is outstanding. It is that, like, a lot of the games in the PlayStation 4 launch lineup are just higher spec, better graphics versions of the PS3 iterations, such as Assassin's, Battlefield, Call of Duty, etc. With FIFA, it's genuinely doing brand new stuff, and when you play it on PS4, you know you can never ever ever go back to playing it on PS3.
So what's the brand new stuff then? Are we talking like, is it new mechanics, is it new features, is it doing just more?
It's all of the above. I mean, let's talk about the presentation first, because it's what you can see on screen here. So, like, the pre-match build-up, you get, as you do on PS3, you get Jeff Selling, who's like the presenter on Sky Sports on Saturdays, sort of leading you in. But Martin Tyler and Alan Smith, the two commentators, have like lots of additional lines. They'll talk about kind of with Spurs and Arsenal. They'll talk about the derby. They'll talk about Spurs' hopes for the season. Spurs, you know, playing under Andre Villas-Boas. Arsenal, you know, recovering from a couple of dodgy years to be in contention for the title, etc. There's lots of bespoke stuff in the build-up, and that presentation's carried through into the match. Like, you know, when you're playing, you'll get, if you're playing while you're connected online, you get all the match day information. So, for example, I was playing a game the other day with the Palace, as Crystal Palace, and there's a player called Marouane Chamakh. Any football fan will know him. He's a bit of a comedy figure because he's not very good. I love him anyway because he plays for Palace. Anyway, so he kind of missed a chance, and Tyler said, "Oh, and he's gone close there, but his drought continues because in real life he hasn't scored for a while." Well, he actually scored a couple of nights ago, but before that he hadn't scored for a while, and that real life stuff is replicated in game, which is a really nice crossover.
I wonder how they do that. I wonder if they've just got like a load of sort of generic phrases they can attach to news.
They do it. That's exactly how they do it. Right. I think they attach them to each player. And then, you know, like next week when they update it, they'll take that phrase away from Chamakh because he scored again. But yeah, that, you know, this is all part of their weekly update. It's one of the things that keeps it so far ahead of PES is not just the gameplay, but that kind of little extra level of detail. And that detail is extended now to stuff that happens off the pitch. So you'll see here, for example, when a player shoots wide on PS3 FIFA, you'd have a cutscene, and you know you'd have a cutscene and get on with the game. With this, and you'll see it again later on, when the ball goes off, if you don't choose to advance it, you see everything happen in real time. So when the ball goes off for a throw-in, like, you know, see a ball boy come over and get the ball and sling it back on, the player kick it back to the thrower, the thrower take the throw. When the ball goes out for a corner, you'll see players jogging up from the back, you'll see the goalkeeper setting his defence. I think I advanced it when I was making this video, but it's, you know, really nice that you get that sense of a living, breathing stadium and game, as it were, and you know, that's something that just didn't happen on PS3.
Yeah, I really quite enjoy just seeing all the cameras and stuff wandering around. I mean, I'm a completely non-football person at all, but I can sort of appreciate that level of detail and just seeing cameramen running around. I mean, basically, when you reviewed it, you were quite big on the presentation being like sort of making such a difference. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm someone who I had a Crystal Palace season ticket for years, and you know, I've having a kid now, etc. I don't have as time to go to as many games, so you know, a lot of stuff a lot of the Palace games I watch on TV or on a dodgy internet stream. I probably shouldn't admit that out loud. And you know, the great thing about this FIFA on PS4 is I think that whether you're used to watching matches in the stadium or whether you're used to watching them on TV, you really get that experience. Like you get your Saturday experience in virtual form in your living room, and it's, you know, that shouldn't be underestimated. You can never have too much detail in a sports game, and this game is absolutely packed with details. Even you see there, those camera angles, they actually researched in the build-up to release while they're developing the game. The broadcast angles used at real matches, and so now you're watching a game exactly as it's broadcast on TV, and you know, that's an incredible level of presentation. Okay, so what's changed then from a mechanical point of view? Because this is the Ignite engine, isn't it? And I mean, loads of physics-y stuff in that classic naughty developer style. Like, they call it a brand new engine. It's not a brand new engine, but this is a good thing. When you play when PS2 FIFA came to next gen initially on Xbox 360,
it massively went wrong.
They rebooted it from scratch, and it didn't work. It was like the first 2 or 3 iterations were awful, and over the years it did improve. And you know, obviously the last 2 or 3 have been outstanding games. Here, what they've done, as I said, is they've taken the engine, I think 2 or 3 years ago, and then built upon it with the next gen technology. And so, sorry, so they taken the engine 2 years ago. I'm guessing that would have been the engine they had when the PS4 was sort of shown to them when they started work on it. Yeah, exactly. I think they basically just ported it over then, but then they've obviously managed to progress things much faster than on PS3. And you know, there's obviously a lot of things PS4 is capable of doing that PS3 isn't. So, you know, some of the changes you see there, the overlapping fullback, player runs are so much
no
better.
idea what that means.
Good. People listening will. But player runs are so much more intelligent. You kind of, on the previous generation, you basically, it was a bit of a lottery as to whether your players did what you wanted them to, and you had to use the D-pad to instruct them tactically. On here, they're a lot more sensible and thoughtful in terms of, you know, attacking space, in terms of running in behind defenders. I'm saying things you don't understand, aren't I?
It's fine. I'm nodding.
You see there's an example of, like, you know, a cutscene where you saw the player kicking it back to the goalie. Like, you know, if you don't advance this when it comes back out, you excuse me, you'll see the keeper put the ball down. We've advanced it a little bit there. But again, when you win a penalty, you see the whole build up to the penalty, the guy waiting to take the kick, the controller thumps in your hand. It's like a really good way of getting across that atmosphere of it being a real game. Sorry, I got distracted talking about the gameplay mechanics. By the football, football's amazing.
So do you see, I can't remember if it was you or somebody else was talking about how the players do feel different this time, so they have like a different pace and different range and...
Yeah, I mean, so I'd say one of the troubles with... Two problems that FIFA has always had. Number one is that speed has always been too powerful. If you were playing career mode and you packed your team with fast players, basically you could become undefeatable. That's one problem. The other problem is that where PES has always done a really good job of making players feel like individual footballers, in FIFA they've often felt, even the big names have often felt quite generic. What they've done now is, pace is still an important factor, but equally important are things like strength, like because they've reworked the physicality of the game. You can actually play as a big physical team, like, I don't know, a West Ham. You can have someone like Andy Carroll up front, and because he's like a big, strong man, if you play to his strengths, if you kick the ball up to him, like, defenders can't anymore just outmuscle him and step around and get the ball. Like, he'll use his physicality to your advantage, and that means that individual traits, like, you know, being a strong front man, or being, you know, really good with the ball at your feet, they really come through on the PS4 version much more so than the PS3. That doesn't mean that pace isn't important. Like, I think actually it makes pace more like critical in terms of gameplay. So, like, you getting the ball, waiting for a defender to approach you, and then sort of turning on the jets to get past him. Like, there's a real sort of skill and strategy to using speed now, whereas in the past it was just like hold down R2 all the time and run around a lot.
What about sort of other modes like online and the career thing? I
mean, they're pretty much the same, and a couple of reviews I think have been harshly critical because they've taken out some things like being able to make your own tournaments, but, you know, I don't think that's a feature that many used anyway, and I think that, like, the things they have added to the game, the grand sum total of those parts is much more than what they've taken out. With Ultimate Team and Seasons, you can actually also port across your PS3 data. So if you've been playing Ultimate Team for 2 months since the game came out, when you log into your PS4, and it's happened to me, it automatically transports your data over. So, you know, kind of, you don't have to start again from the ground up. Like, I don't think you can do so with career. You do have to start from the ground up, but everything else has been ported over from PS3, and you know, it's like a seamless transition. You just put the game in your PS4 and all your PS3 data is there.
I think there's a similar system with Battlefield from EA. You can't copy the story over, but the first time you put your PS4 disc in, it suddenly goes, here's all your career stuff, and you've got all your guns.
Exactly,
which is really nice.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So what did you give it in the end?
I gave it a 9. I was absolutely very, very close to giving it a 10. I think it is... inevitably it's the best football game released in years, because football games improve iteratively and it's on a next generation format, and there's a lot more things they can do with it. What I would also say is that I haven't adored a football game like this since probably the early 2000s, with like the PESs of that era. There was a lot of great football games on PS3, but they're the type of games that I'd play for 3-4 months, and then kind of once I put them down, I'd never go back to them. Whereas the classic ones of like the Mega Drive era or the PESs, you know, the Mega Drive era I would play Sensible Soccer forever. The PESs, like, you know, I kind of would just, I'd play them for a whole year, wait out for the next one. So gave it a 9 out of 10, was close to giving it a 10. I think it is the best football game made in donkey's years, and absolutely recommend it.
Lovely, thank you very much.
No problem.
You can still be a force. They certainly proved that out here.
So it's full time with the final score 3-2. I'll leave you with the full match highlights, and until next time.